Okay, so Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion. Trailer dropped. Was it today or is it yesterday? That this
Yes, yesterday. Yeah.
yesterday that this trailer dropped. So this is the new Disney Plus show. And generally, I think they said that Disney, Marvel, they're trying to scale back a little bit with all the Disney Plus shows, all the Marvel movies. Trying to more focus on the quality of these things, which I think is a good decision. I don't think there should be like 5 shows, 6 movies a year coming out. I think they'll try to scale it back to at least like what 2 movies, 2 shows a year instead, which I think is a
I
good
think we'll get three and three.
3 and
I
3,
think we're gonna get three and
three and 3.
that's what I feel like they're gonna land on. Now, I will be the first to admit, I've been on here a lot for the nerd shit, and I don't have the issues a lot of people have a face for. I do think there've been some shit that's been better than others, but the spy shit is always what gets me. I think the spy shit rules, and this is very much in that spy shit realm. So yeah, I'm ready for this shit.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the Secret Invasion trailer? What Easter eggs did you notice? What can we expect from this series?
Oh god, how much time do we have? So so okay. There's not a ton on the surface for this trailer. So this is me going super nerd. So just y'all just I'm warning y'all. We're going kind of nerdy here. So okay, I have the trailer up here. So one thing I really like, and I've kind of talked about this when I've been on, I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. That was like the first show to like really like grab me. I fucking love the Twilight Zone. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers is uh, such a cool fucking movie. I mean, we've seen that premise of a host, you know, hundreds of times in science fiction. But what was always interesting is the concept that someone could just transform like that into someone else, which is why the scrolls have always been so interesting. Now, admittedly, if you read comics, and Dusk will attest to this, there are times where Marvel uses scrolls like Star Trek uses tachyons. They're kind of like, oh, we wrote ourselves into a corner. Scroll. Yeah, that
Yeah.
works. And it's one of those
Yeah. Yeah.
it is one of those things sometimes where you're like, God damn it, Marvel, stop using scrolls. But what I love about this is it goes back to what I always say, fuckers. I say this for comic book fans especially. Sometimes y'all just need to wait and shut up because I had so many people going, why are the scrolls good in Captain Marvel? That doesn't make sense. And I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry, did they say every scroll's good? No, no, they didn't. And this trailer is prime example of that because at the 17-second mark, I always forget I always forget this actor's name, and I fucking shouldn't. But he played Malcolm X in One Night in Miami, and
Mm.
Kinsley Benadir. There we go. He's the villain in this, and he looks horrifying, and I'm so excited that he's getting a Marvel check. But you see him at the 17-second mark. They're blowing up a building, so terrorism. Ooh. So the scrolls are clearly all over the place, and that's what's going to make this really interesting because looks like we're in Europe for a good portion of it. Because we're in London. I don't think we're just going to be in London. Looks like we're in Russia as well at multiple points. But um, him being the villain, I'm very excited for. So just kind of going through other random things that I noticed. That villain, and I'll just jump ahead. I'll jump ahead because why the fuck not? At
Sure.
the uh, at the minute 42 mark, if you can, yeah, at the minute 42 mark, that shot is horribly important, and that is the big kind of question of who is the main villain of this potentially and why that's important. So
Mm.
this looks like this is setting up Super Scroll. That's the only thing that kind of makes sense
Oh,
from.
you think they're doing that?
I think that's exactly what they're doing.
So at the 1 minute
And I
42 mark, you see kind of Nick Fury on his back. What do you think that Nick
oh
Fury?
maybe I'm watching.
Are you talking about the case that has a sample?
Oh,
Is that
so
what?
actually, I'm my bad. I'm on the Marvel UK version of the trailer, so actually, I'm watching the wrong one. So let me get the
Oh,
US.
That's happening. Hey man, it's all right.
Let me see where I can get to it on the.
yeah. And
Hang on.
Dusk,
Keep going while I'm trying.
yeah, Dusk.
Yeah.
Why you searching for? What's some of your thoughts on the trailer?
Um, I I have not been a fan of most of the series that have come out for Disney Plus. I think they've been middling at best, kind of bad at worst. And hopefully this one is some confidence. Disney has not made the money they thought they would. Disney has not made a lot. I think also at the same time, like let's be honest, we're podcasters. We've been doing this for a bit. We watch a bunch of different series. We watch indie stuff. We watch big movies. We watch small matinee stuff. We'll talk about a variety of different things, video games, different topics, whatever catches his fancy. Same with Hunter. He gets sent so much stuff. He sees a variety of stuff. Most people only watch a fair amount of shows. So when there was initially only a few movies being sent out, and there was the Marvel movies, you're like, oh, okay, well I can catch up for like one. Oh, there's two Marvel movies a year. Oh, I can have like two Marvel movies, and they're spread fair enough apart. I can do other things. Now they have Marvel movies, and there's like 8 different shows that you all have to be in to know what each other. And then the most recent Doctor Strange one, you had to see WandaVision. If you didn't, you're not going to know what's going on. And I think that's even they're even doing with the recent Quantumania. It's like, oh, and that's a tie-in to season 2 of Loki, which is then also going to do another show, which is a hint of the War with the Kangs, and you're just like, oh my god, most casual watchers are going to be so lost, and they're going to be so checked out because it's a sunken cost. Like either you're a sunken cost fallacy or this, but that's neither here nor there. From based on the trailer, from what I see, I think that's a step in a better direction. Just get really low key stuff, pull back. The spy angle was probably one of my favorite parts of Winter Soldier. That slow discovery of a mystery that led up to something, that was always really made it interesting. And to seeing how Hydra had infiltrated the government and other facilities and even Shield, that was neat. It was so neat that I wish they had done that with Black Widow. They had talked about Budapest, gone into her more darker past, figured out what was going on, but they didn't really do that, and I thought that was a really missed opportunity. With this, Secret Invasion has always been kind of a correct me if I'm wrong, Hunter, but Secret Invasion has been there was the big Secret Invasion arc, and then they've had a smatterings of Scar from here and there.
Yeah.
That always get out of jail free card use of it since or even before. Even the Kree have always been used. The Kree fairly have also been used as a get out of free card. Oh, what's an alien device or an alien thing that happens? It's Kree. It's Kree design.
Yeah.
Don't question it too much, y'all.
Yeah.
It's Kree design.
Yeah. You're not wrong, and so okay. The shot's not in the U.S. version of the trailer, so I'll just have to talk about it. So
Yeah.
basically, there's a shot of of Gravix is the name of the villain who Kinsley Ben-Adir is playing. So what's interesting about that is that the Skrull have ties to Fantastic Four.
Right.
And the big question that I brought up during Ant-Man and the Wasp is Quantumania is who is going to be the villain for Fantastic Four. Because having Doctor Doom as your first villain is fucking stupid. I said that when the last three, God, there's been 3 of them. I said that when the last
They
3
have.
movies came out, and I kept saying it, and people were like, "Oh, Doctor Doom's dumb anyway," which makes me immediately realize you have not read Doctor Doom if you think that. So, you know, so the question is, like I said during Quantum Mania review, is it going to be Rama Tut? Depending on how things work out for Jonathan Majors may not be. So it's going to be Rama Tut, or is it going to be Super Scroll? And the reason why the shot at the minute 27 mark is so important, uh, we know that damage control is a thing. They were introduced in Spider-Man: Homecoming. That's what Tony Stark, that whole cleanup crew that Stark has, and makes money off of, which is goddamn so gross. But so we know damage control has been a thing. If you remember in Homecoming, they were collecting all those alien artifacts and all that. So the theory with Super Scroll is that he has the powers of the Fantastic Four. He has all their powers like in one, which is why he's such a formidable villain. So we don't have Fantastic Four yet, but the whole concept of Scroll using enhancements to go ahead and gain powers, that's something that they've done in the comics forever. So the theory being there, if you go to the minute 28 mark, because you have to wait just a moment. If you notice, it says specimen sample Kroll or Cole. Cole is the one of the one of the
At a
sons of
minute,
Thanos.
at a minute and 28, I'm seeing the briefcase.
Yeah,
Okay, specimen. Okay.
yeah. So you see, it says specimen Cole there. So Cole was the one with the big giant axe who was in Infinity War, who was trying to go ahead and get the time stone from Doctor Strange. So my theory being that since that battle happened in New York, damage control comes in, goes ahead, takes the body parts and all that. Because there's that point, remember, where his arm gets cut off by the portal by Doctor Strange. So if you do that, that's an easy way for damage control infiltrated by scrolls to go ahead and start getting powers from all these heroes that have been in the MCU for this long. So I think that's the easy way to go ahead and actually build the Super
Yeah,
Scroll because
Super Skull's got uh yeah, that character has had a very wide approach.
yeah,
Initially in the Fantastic Four comic line, he was just a Jack Kirby's like, I'm just gonna. We've already met. They've met the Skrull already. Skrull were actually introduced. Have been introduced for a long time. They've actually been there for a while. They just never maybe had an official names. They were like little green men, and they had like lasers and stuff. They weren't. It was pretty primitive, but they could change. A lot of their basic stuff were introduced a long time ago, back in the '60s, '50s, and '60s. But
yeah,
yeah, Fantastic Four. Then there was the Super Scroll, and he's been a number of things. He's also taken on other people's aliases, and
yep,
because he's still Scroll. Notably, I think there was like one issue where he actually pretended to be uh, the Human Torch and the Invisible Woman's like father, Franklin. I think he's like
yeah,
Franklin Storm for a little bit. He pretended to be. Uh,
yeah. No, that's correct.
yeah, so you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's all of there's a number of different ways they can go about it. But yeah, having now like a metaverse thing, or just even an open portal thing, we could just get a bunch of powers from meta characters and to do this. It while is nice, it is probably the easiest answer. It may not be the nicest answer, but it is the easiest,
Yeah.
definitely, if they're gonna do that.
Um.
Um, yeah, it's I can't think of any legitimate other way.
With this trailer, like you said, more of the spy, more of the espionage type situation. Good to see Samuel Jackson. So he is going to be the lead character in this.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, maybe it gives him going to be giving him a chance to actually play a character here because mostly Nick Fury just kind of pops up in these Marvel properties, does a couple quips, one-liners, kind of talks shit to the team of the Avengers, or helps them build them up a little bit, and then he's out. Is typically what his role is. So here to see him actually more play an actual kind of character and something in one of these projects is I think enticing for him to be able to stretch a little bit more for Samuel Jackson. Also, you see kind of some returning people. You see Colby Smulders in this,
yes,
who's coming back, who's returning. You have also some new additions that you kind of see. Also with some old people coming back, you see Don Cheadle, who's Rhodey Rhodes. He's going to be in this series. You also see Martin Freeman, who's going to be in here. Which I guess if this is taken after Wakanda Forever to spoil that, he's going to be on
it
the
is.
run because he was arrested at the end of that. So to see what his character is going to be doing. What do you all think Amelia Clark and Olivia Colman? What do you all think their role is going to be here?
Yeah. So they've already spoiled that. So Olivia Colman, um, she's playing Sonia Fallsworth, who actually does.
Really,
Yeah, who doesn't technically. So here's the thing about Sonia Fallsworth. She doesn't have a ton. She doesn't have like a ton of comic book history, but the last the last name Fallsworth does, because there's a James Fallsworth who was in Captain America: The First Avenger. He's one of the Howling Commandos, and to not get too nerdy, basically that family ends up becoming a having a superhero mantle handed down by the superhero named Union Jack, who's kind of like Britain's Captain America before
Yeah.
Captain Britain and all that comes along. And so that superhero fought in World War I and II, and so having the connection of Sonya to MI6 going back to the war would make a ton of sense why her and Fury have, there's that point where she refers to him to, you're not ready for his fight, my old friend. And so them actually having a ton of history together, especially after the events of Captain Marvel, would make a ton of sense. I'm blanking on, oh God, what's her name?
Amelia
Thank you.
Clark.
I'm blanking on what her character's name is. Gia. Um, she was actually in Captain Marvel as a kid, and so she's playing the grown-up version of her. So what's interesting about her is that the 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 contrast between her and Ben Middleton's character. It doesn't seem like she's on his side whatsoever, but she also doesn't seem to be bad either. So it kind of seems like she's kind of walking, kind of towing the line. Um, so it's going to be very interesting because the whole gripe that the Skrulls have is completely legitimate. Because if you remember at the end of Captain Marvel's like, "I'll help you find a home," but then Thanos happened and other shit, and so she probably just kind of went, "I gotta go save multiple planets. I'll get back to y'all," and she doesn't. And so you remember her and Fury both made that promise to the Skrulls, like, "We'll find you a home," and so it seems like Gravix and other Skrulls are like, "Well, you took too long, motherfuckers," and so that seems to be their big gripe. Hence the whole invasion, which is again a very simple way to explain the Skrulls being pissed off, and then that's going to get your mind thinking of, oh, how long Skrulls been around here? Is there? And please don't do this, Marvel. I'm going to say this. Please don't do this. I do not want to hear that Tony Stark was a Skrull the whole time. I don't want Iron Man back. No, 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 no. Like, you leave his ass dead. I don't want him back. No. But
I I don't think they can do that. I think that would be the final nail in the coffin of really just making the that would retroactively destroy so
yeah, oh no,
much
that would royally piss me off if they pulled that shit. Like, do not do
that
that, Marvel.
yeah.
Yeah. So
But
Amelia Clark's playing a
I would be
character
okay
named.
with a clone. Yeah.
So Amelia Clark, she's playing a character named Abigail Brand. Is her character
no, no,
name?
no. That's who they. No, no. That's who they thought she was.
Oh, so
That's who the internet was like. Yeah, because that was my guess. I thought she was playing her, and they went. I just read an article yesterday talking about how they confirmed she's playing Ben Middleton's daughter. So
Ben Miller. Okay.
that could have been interesting, but yeah, sorry y'all, not playing her.
Okay. All
It-
right.
they're basically they're minor-esque characters even within the
Yeah,
superhero comics. Sonya just being like an insert now character who has ties with Union Jack because he was in the Howling Commandos in the first Avengers, and Emilia Clarke is a grown-up version of a character we briefly saw in a previous movie. I mean, sure, absolutely, a more grounded setting is great, and I salute that. I'm curious to see how it's going to turn out. I'm curious to see how what they're going to do with Skrull, because the Skrulls are as campy as they can be, and
oh
as
yeah,
ridiculous as Marvel has used them as a get out of jail free card. When they're written well, they are an invasion of the body snatchers level of threat,
yeah,
where you don't know whose side you're on, you don't know what's going on, and we also it's an interesting point in time for them to come out because most of the characters who could have we would have wanted to see, like with Black Widow and a few other characters who could would have been an interesting movie to have them deal with, or like Hawkeye to deal with that kind of spy stuff. They're not around anymore. They're not really around. It's really Nick Fury and what's left of Shield, and that's an interesting dynamic of like, well, what do they do now?
Yeah.
Who's going to stop it? The Avengers aren't really a thing anymore. I mean, Scott's
yeah.
trying. I mean, they are, but they also
Not really
aren't.
though. Like And I kind of love that in the trailer that there's that newspaper like asking like where the fuck are the Avengers? Because
Hmm.
the public is like the Avengers are a thing, right? And Scott is like, actually no, I don't know where any of them are. So like I actually like
Hmm.
that because I feel like that's something you kind of almost have to address every single project. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because that's the first thing people go to is like, where are the Avengers? It's like, well, fuck, they're not around. Like, what do you want? So
Most of them are gone. Like most of them are gone. Gone. Don Cheadle's character, Rhodes, he's partially crippled. He can't really get back into the suit. He can, but it's not as easy as it once was.
yeah,
So he has to be low key. The armor might have been confiscated at that point. It's government property, anyways.
yeah,
So he might not even be able to get into that suit legally speaking because he's part of the government. Uh, which makes explains like the I'm on red tape right now, Fury. We can't pull as fast as loose as we used to. Uh, Tony's gone. Uh, Piper's probably not doing anything with that. It's just letting things lie and just continue the company and raising her and Tony's child. Cap is Cat's a whole other kettle of fish. Cap is doing his own thing. He bowed out. Falcon and I guess now Captain America,
I
Falcon
was like,
and
yeah, Captain
the Winter
America.
Soldier. Um, they're doing their own thing,
But he
and
just
both
became
have
Captain America. To be
right,
fair,
right, right. It's still its own thing. Yeah, they got their own thing going on. Then there's like a recruiter for other things going on right now. She's been going around recruiting people. That one character who's shown up in some of the
Oh,
movies to been
Julia
like,
Louis
Val.
Dreyfus, Val. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
She's like, I'm going to
yeah,
recruit you to join that. I'm like, now is not the time for this kind of crap. So they got their like whose side that even that split. Most of the Avengers, even the sub Avengers, Vision's gone. Wanda is uh, quote unquote dead.
yeah,
Vision is quote unquote dead. Uh, you're running out of Avengers. You're running out of
yeah.
Avengers. Thor just effed off responsibilities because that was a fun pathos to do for his character at Endgame and really with fulfilling end for Love and Thunder. I say sarcastically. So he doesn't even know any of this is going on. He's just being a dumb himbo in space. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, you're just kind
yeah.
of like,
All right.
yeah, we don't really
Um.
have. You're it, Nick.
Yeah.
It's like you're hitting Nick Fury. You're looking
Uh.
at him.
Any final things on trailer?
Ye- Yeah. Last thing I'll throw up is uh, in
Hmm.
She-Hulk, we had the whole intelligentsia group, and the whole plot was, they had to get some of her blood, and technically they do. So you think about, and I can't believe I'm going to reference this. If you've seen Justice League Unlimited,
No.
epilogue epilogue is a piece of shit. It
Yes, it
negates
is.
it's absolutely terrible.
Don't.
But the whole concept of superheroes' blood being left around,
Yeah.
She-Hulk's is a thing.
Yeah.
So the Super Scroll having multiple powers, because watch the UK trailer, y'all. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna see that shot of Gravik's arm like twisting, and it looks very much like a Groot type of like
Thing.
attack. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the Super Scroll could have multiple powers already that we're not aware of. Plus, we also saw Damage Control Miss Marvel. So I feel like the Scrolls are about to get an upgrade, and that could actually make things very potentially interesting heading to Secret Wars, which is one of my personal favorite arcs. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the trailer, but we're
Hmm.
probably not going to know more until June, which is actually good. Keep it close to the vest. It's fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got the shot right up here. Where he's kind of looks like he's got
It's
like a
got the twisty arms.
Groot kind of thing here. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting theory.
yeah,
I mean, they could also go the route where Super Skrull is like more of a monster, and he has all these powers, but he's just not. He can't control them very well. They could go that route. That's been done before too.
yeah. I mean, there are multiple avenues they can go down, but I think the scrolls are going to be way more important than we honestly thought they were going to be. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how they make it work. But yeah, this is in June. June's a stacked month, y'all. We've got Spider Verse, Indiana Jones,
Mm.
The Flash, this. Yeah, June's gonna be awesome. Hopefully.
All right, that was Secret Invasion. Gonna be moving on to our next trailer, and then we're gonna be heading out. Gonna be discussing Blue Beetle. So Blue Beetle finally has a trailer. So you know that this movie it exists. It's coming out. It's got a release date. It's not canceled, anything like that. So they're moving. They're moving forward with it. So that's pretty good. And what are some of you guys' thoughts on this trailer?
Dusk.
No, you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go first, man.
Okay. That's CGI, boy.
Oh.
That's CGI. That's not looking great. Man, I feel so bad. This was originally supposed to be an HBO Max series, and then they went, "Nah, let's release it as a movie." And I think they might. It needs a little more time to cook. It's a little rough, both in the plotting and in the especially the CGI going on right now. I will say this though, the costume is fairly accurate. I'll give the Blue Beetle costume. It's fairly close to what it actually is in the comics, and that's cool. But for all people who don't know who the Blue Beetle is a was originally a DC character from the 30s and 40s, way back when. There was a run of that character. He was kind of more of a gadget guy, wore a blue costume, called himself the Blue Beetle. Fought, I think, in World War II, and he was kind of like a character like Catman or a few other characters who were very old school characters. He died canonically. I think he died in the line of duty, and his characterization didn't see reutilization until much years later. But this is with an entirely new concept. So Jamie Reyes is just this average kid. He's and he, he has a good family dynamic. He has good friends, and one day he stumbles upon this beetle. It's an alien artifact that lunges onto him, not too different than a symbiote, but different in its mechanics, and attaches itself to the back of the neck of his spine, allowing him to wield its awesome power. What's interesting about the Blue Beetle is it can transform into anything. It is a living weapon, classified itself as a living weapon. It also talks to him on a neurological level, which means it talks to him as fast as his brain speed can carry. Although it does make note that if it was in another species, it could also adapt to their level of thinking as well. It was an ultimate weapon sent from another planet and just happened to land on Earth. Surprise, surprise. So Jamie Reyes, as this young man, has to figure out how to utilize this power while hiding it from his parents, and only his friends know at first, and how to learn to use these abilities. Because when I mean it can turn into anything, I mean it can turn into anything. It can turn into a gun hand. It can turn into a sword. It can turn into anything complicated you could think of. It can transform itself to it. It also has a mind of its own, and by saying mind of its own is if you try to kill it, in the original issues, it tried to kill everything that it senses a danger. Everything. And that was a big thing for Jamie, was like pulling back on it to go, no. So in like a Spider-Man Far From Home, it's like, oh, a kill mode? Yeah, kill. It's kill mode on all the time. So Jamie had to slowly learn how to control and tell it, no, not kill mode. But with this adaptation, already some things are deviated. For one, it comes in a box, really flimsy box, by the way, and he just opens it. And he's like, I'm not talking. I'm being honest. It's like a really flimsy box that they held at like a $3 trillion. Like it's an extremely expensive, powerful thing inside this box, and they tell him, "Don't open this box. Now I'm gonna walk away and leave you alone." And then his friends peer pressure him to be like, well, "You didn't open it up to look what it is." Like, no, they told me not to, because he's a good boy. He's a good guy. He just does as he's told. Why they even gave it to him? So it's already kind of different. And then immediately it starts being like a symbiote, which is not exactly what it's like. It starts going crazy. And now we have the family dynamic, which took much longer in the comics to eventually happen. But it did happen in the comics eventually, but it felt more earned in the comics than it does in this initial junction, because that was his choice to reveal later, and it helped create a bond, especially when I'm not going to spoil anything for the Blue Beetle comics because the early comics run is actually really good. I'd actually recommend you read those. Uh, he's kind of DC's equivalent to not not Spider-Man, more kind of like a common writer kind of character, where he's like battling evil, kind of doing this with a little like sprinkle of Spider-Man because of his characteristics. But it does go to a really interesting arc later when other alien species happen to show up looking for it. And I think that's the direction they'll eventually go in because why wouldn't you? It's his most famous arc. But I'll leave it back to Hunter. What did you think?
Yeah. So, I'm gonna be real.
Yeah.
I love the way the suit looks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the CGI. I mean, yes, they need to clean up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have this sense of what the actual fuck like I did with the Flash costume when I first saw
Oh,
it. Because I saw that Flash costume, I'm like, this is a $200 million budget at least, considering how many times you switched
way
it around.
more than that.
Like,
Way
what?
more reshoots.
Come the fuck on! How does this not look better? I think this looks great,
Mm.
and I'm actually to Dust's point.
Mm-hmm.
He is 1,000% right on the family dynamic in the comics. When it is that barrier comes down, it does feel more earned because of what Jamie has gone through. So the fact that the Scarab just kind of latches onto him and takes that away, I'm not crazy about that. That is like my one gripe about this trailer. I just went, all right, don't love that. But at the same time, we don't know what
Yeah.
this scene is setting up. Like it could potentially be later on in the film, maybe we don't know. Um, but I'm but one of the things about this that I am really excited about
Mm-hmm.
is we're getting another minority superhero. And I know to, most people, white people, that may not be
That's not fair.
I think a lot of the gripes I saw, I'm just saying, but I know that may not be a big deal to a lot of people. This is a big deal. And the fact is, as I've talked about on here before, the at bats for minority characters are way more limited because if you fuck up, a Batman
Mm-hmm.
movie, we'll try again in 5 years, whatever. You fuck up, Supergirl, you have to wait, 20. So,
Funny, yeah.
so I hope this is really good because I'm a big fan of the character. If you haven't read it, there's I think it's an 06 run,
Yeah.
Blue Beetle Graduation Day, which is actually really fucking awesome. And he's in the second Injustice, and he's a badass in there. So play
He's
that.
probably one of the most likable. He's like the only likable character in Injustice.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like he was like the character you root for. That's what in Injustice universe. He's just peachy keen the entire time. He's just a good character who's just like Supergirl's like, oh, he's like you're this close. He's like you're lucky to get this close to me. He's like, yeah, you're right. I'm barely holding on against these superheroes, but I'm trying my best.
He just wants to do the right thing. At the end
Jamie,
of the
that's what Jamie Reyes is a fun character because he just wants to try, and the suit that he's in learns to. It's also the dynamic between him and his friends and his family that makes him also different. Well, they do start off as they don't know his identity. His friends do, and they help him even when they don't have superpowers. When he's still starting off, and then when he later adds his family into it, there is this sense of familia and like helping each other out and making sure that they cover for him while he does his thing. The suit is always a danger, but slowly, even over that time, the suit also begins to adjust to him and starts understanding dynamics of him as well. And they start becoming more in sync as well. It's like a big budgeted version of Star Kid from Disney.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like Max Steel for
Yeah, shows like that.
Yeah. And by the way, Max Steel sucks. By the way, I'd watch Stargate over Max Steel.
It did not age. It did not age well.
Yeah, that kind of movie blows. But what's really interesting about this is, to Dust's point, the whole kind of borderline symbiote relationship that Jamie does have with the Scarab, and it actually has ties into Shazam in the original.
Yeah, it did. I forgot about that.
Which that apparently won't get brought up because Shazam.
Well, Black Adam's not even gonna get brought up in Shazam. What do you think? You think Blue Beetle's gonna? You think that obscure crap is gonna get in there? They can't even do the basic stuff. The Rock doesn't want to be a villain.
Yeah, and yet he's become one. But
A
but
villain of his own creation.
I mean, true, but a villain nonetheless. But
Yeah.
as far as his powers, the blaster cannon kicks so much ass. Like whenever the blaster cannon pops
Hmm.
up in the comics, it's wonderful. But he can fly. He's got like a shield, like shielding
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah.
He has a
Technically
full
has
protective armor. Actually,
yeah.
he can like all shield over him. He's got the blaster. Whenever he can actually get it to work at first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there is a hilarious learning curve once he actually is starting to, use the suit. It's even got kryptonite radiation. Like the suit is kind of amazing when you start breaking down everything that it has. I'm hoping, and to get comic booky here. So
Hmm.
Susan Sarandon, she's in the movie and she's
Hmm.
playing is it, Victoria Cord, I want to say. Um,
Yeah.
who so there's a little espionage, like corporate takeover aspect to the story as well, because the is it the second, I think it's the second Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, um who is way more traditional,
Yeah.
just more like standard tech. I want to say, let me try to get the trailer up real quick. You actually see the two original costumes in the trailer,
Is it at the very end of the
which is really,
trailer where he's kind of in the
yeah,
cave
yeah,
there?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
I.
the
Oh
first
yeah.
one, the first one I mentioned earlier, Blue Beetle is like the third iteration of this kind of a character. He's also the most like far wide version. The other one I mentioned was like the OG. I forgot that there was a second iteration. You're right. He was a little bit more techie guy, but the other guy was like very Catman, old school kind of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And his costume is very like almost like the Spider or the Phantom, those kind of pulpy characters.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's very much in that vein. So the fact that Cord, because you see at the 23-second mark, that's that's Cord Industries that they're in right there. You can tell, just by like how techy it looks, that looks like that's
Yeah. You see
where
the
they're
K on the
at.
building there. See K's right there on
Yeah.
the
So
inside of the
Cord
building.
Industries is basically, think Star Labs. Basically, that's basically what Cord Industries is. Like if you need a parallel with Star Labs, and so I would say he might cross over with the Flash, but probably won't be Ezra Miller's version.
Hmm.
Um, but that's essentially what it is. So you'll probably get a little, corporate takeover or something to that effect. Um, I hope they touch on Ted Cord, because Ted Cord's actually a pretty cool character. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm.
he was the student of the original. Who was I remember Dan Garrett. He's the OG. He was God. He was from. I was looking this up. He's from Fox Comics. My God,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that's yeah. He's like golden age, old school, like 1930s. Yeah, but yeah, Ted Kord has his own thing. He's more closer to like a Batman, Tiki kind of character. And then yeah, 2006 was when Reyes was introduced, and they like completely revamping this. No more like ancient Egyptian stuff. He's from space.
Mm.
Yeah, and so like the Star Labs thing is really interesting, but Victoria Cord, she's a pretty new character. She just got made
Yeah.
canon not even 20 years ago. So the fact that they're bringing her in, I find that pretty interesting. As far as other stuff in the trailer, the bug, because as Dust is saying, this is a very old school character. At the 206 mark, it looks so wonderfully cheesy comic book. Like I saw that shot and I was like, I love that. I'm like, give me more old school shit like this. Like it reminds me of the old school Ant-Man helmet.
It,
It's like, yep, it's cheesy as fuck, and I love that you're introducing this.
it's like an
So,
episode of Smallville,
um, actually, yeah, kinda. Um,
which Blue Beetle was in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Except he actually wore his
Yeah,
suit.
I know.
But
I
anyway,
know.
but a lot of the close-ups of the suit. One of the things that was always fun about it is that it looks cool, but it looks just terrifying enough. Like that if you're a kid, you might get a little scared of it every so often, kind of go like, oh shit. So I actually love the way it looks. I love the sensory aspect too, because that's another, at the 143 mark, you see there how it's highlighting potential threats. That's another feature that the costume has when he's not fully in the costume. So I'm happy that they've already introduced and let you know that that's going to be a feature. Um, Looking at other aspects of it, I like the way it looks like there's a shot like I think it's like the 209 not the 209 mark, but there's a point where oh yeah, it's at the like the 215 mark where you see him moving in the suit. It looks like the suit has a little weight to it like Iron Man, but it does feel like it's light enough to move in, but heavy enough that you'd feel the blows. So I like the way the costume's moving just already. So hopefully, they kind of there's a montage or something of how the suit works. So which I'm sure there will be. Um, One other thing I noticed, to Dust's point about the whole scarab being kept in a box, which haha. I love the fact they bring back Big Belly Burger, which you've seen in Arrow and in the Flash.
Oh God.
I just like that Easter egg. I'm like it's cheesy, but I like the fact that that's at least brought up. Um, but as far as the movie, it'll probably be typical origin story, and I
Hmm.
don't even mean that. I don't even mean that as a bad thing. Like he'll have to take down the evil corporation and all that, and of course everyone's gonna
Like
want
it's
those
gonna
in
be a
the
big
hands
budget
on
version
deck.
of
So
Star Kid.
it,
Like I said, it's gonna be a Disney original movie, but with a slightly bigger budget, but similar writing. Maybe in the original one they wouldn't have called Batman a fascist though.
Yeah.
okay, I posted something about that. And I think all I said, which is something I've said for years, I'm like, if Batman, if Bruce Wayne was Indian and he was recruiting child soldiers, people would have way more of a problem with it. And so the movie called Batman the Fascist, I'm like, first off, which
Yeah,
version? Because, because that is
that is
important.
very
Like,
it's
I
very
mean,
important. We don't even know what timeline we're in right now.
yeah, who the fuck knows that?
It doesn't
I
matter.
don't think I don't think DC knows what timeline
No.
they're in. Because if you're saying Pattinson's Batman's a fascist, no. If you're saying Affleck's, yes, and a murderer on top of that. But
Yeah.
but I appreciate the fact that the movie's actually taking a little shot. I mean, turnabout's fair play. The one other thing we didn't
Hmm.
mention, um, the original comic takes place in El Paso,
Yes, it
and they're
does.
changing it to Palmera City, which I'm not
Uh,
I'm not sure why they're doing that, to be
yeah, it would
honest.
have been cheaper to shoot in El Paso.
Yeah, it just seems kind of like an unnecessary change for the
And
city to be
it was
changed.
also a nice little change of pace to have a character be in El Paso and this crazy thing happens. So
Yeah.
having it be in like this town and he's a local character and he has these people and family and this crazy thing happens to him adds a little more weight because then it gets the local environment as well. He becomes like a neighborhood kind of a character. Yeah, eventually he has intergalactic stuff and eventually becomes friends with the other Blue Beetle and even Booster Gold, who
Which,
Booster Gold's his own thing. We don't even have time for that.
Yeah.
that's a whole other conversation.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know why they changed it to that. It's not gonna save them money. If anything, shooting in El Paso would have been much
Yeah, so
easier.
I will be the first to admit that's another one of those changes that kind of makes me go, all right, I don't know why. But again, I'm gonna give them a chance to explain themselves, and maybe there's something plot wise that we're just not akin to yet. But
Mm.
but for a first trailer, when I watched that Flash trailer, I was just like, what a bunch of whores you are having Michael Keaton out there to be like, hey, Ezra Miller, don't look at him, look at Keaton. You love Keaton, right? Like, I just whorish and terrible on a level that I was like, God damn it, DC. This actually has me excited, and I really hope it's good. I really do, because I hate sitting through bad comic book films, and I want DC to get some momentum after all this Ezra Snyderverse bullshit. So, um, and I want every minority group to have their person. So like,
Mm.
I really hope this is great, and I leave this trailer like I got goosebumps during multiple points in it. I was like, okay, like this could actually be something. Um,
Goosebumps.
Yeah, dude, I was hyped. I've watched this a couple times.
Oh, okay.
Actually like 5 times because I was trying to break, trying to catch shit in the
Yeah,
trailer.
trying to break it down.
Yeah, but but I will just ask one thing of DC before I throw it back to y'all. Please advertise this. Can you please advertise the goddamn movie? like, please, advertise it. And I mean advertise it. Like, let me see a trailer in between, like when I go to a theater. Let me see shit on YouTube if I'm too cheap to pay for ads. Like, actually show me shit from the movie to get me excited because this comes out in August.
August. Yeah, August 18th.
Okay,
Yeah, they don't have a
so
lot
I
of
mean they got
time.
4 months. So I would like one more trailer, please, and I would like some,
Mm.
give me a couple TV spots. Like, give me a reason to get excited about this because this could be their Miles Morales if they play the cards right. Like, this really could be a big character for DC that people want to see moving forward. But if you don't advertise the shit, because let's be clear, we're still kind of a little murky as far as where DC's going. Um, you need to make people aware of this character because I Dusk. I had to tell people Injustice 2 for a lot of my friends who don't know who the fuck Blue Beetle is. It's like I wish you knew who Blue Beetle was, but play Injustice 2. That'll get you somewhat
Who
familiar. But
Blue
Yeah.
Beetle is an obscure character. Reyes is like the one most people are gonna know even now. They're like, oh, he's the third iteration of the Blue Beetle character, and they go, what? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there's a whole other character before that, and then he does gadget stuff. And oh, let me tell you about the first one. There's Catman. They're like, then they're already walking away. No, no, wait, come back. I want to talk about the Black Canary and all those other characters
yeah,
that know.
he's obscure, but he's a fun character, and
Yeah,
and
no.
given the chance, he can make money for DC. So just
He,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
they picked a good actor to play him.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So that
that's it,
will.
really.
Yeah. Blue Beetle
come on, DC.
trailer talk there.